Welcome everybody to another episode of I don't know why I said on. Microsoft Unboxed. That was our old podcast. This is episode 89. I'm your host today, Kareem Anderson, and I'm joined by
David Allen. Hope everybody is doing well out there, and please give us a little grace today. We're trying a new broadcasting software to put these out, and we got some new buttons, some new bells, some new whistles, some new looks. So if something doesn't look right, tell us. If something goes a little crazy, we're sorry. We're learning.
Yeah, we're going to give this thing a shot. We are still bringing you news, so some of our headlines today are going to be about the layoffs at EA, which will be affecting Battlefield Studios, despite having a pretty successful launch. We'll get into that. The Xbox and its future was kind of laid out during Game Developer Conference 2026, so we got some insights on where they might be going with that. We also have the IDC, which basically tracks shipments of shipments of PCs throughout each quarter. They're predicting a decline in PC sales. We're going to get into why that's going to be an issue and who that might benefit in the next 2 years or so. We also have Google reimagining its is it Workspaces? Google Workspace or whatever their suite of productivity applications are. They're infusing it with more Gemini. We also have noticed that this is an Xbox campaign just disappeared. Microsoft ran hard for about a month and a half with that marketing, and now it is gone. And this might be a reflection of a few headlines that we've also read about this week. Asha and Satya Nadella getting together and kind of reframing where Xbox is going to be going in the future. And maybe they figured out what an actual Xbox is, so they don't need to ask that question anymore. We'll also be talking about a former Windows 8 chief, good old Steven Sinofsky, and his thoughts on the MacBook Neo and how the Surface RT could have been the MacBook Neo moment for Windows and Microsoft, but was not leveraged the same way. Then we're going to finally finish our podcast with obviously free play days and kind of get a little bit more into gaming and what you guys will be doing this weekend. But we start every podcast off a little upset, because that is the nature of the world these days. I'm going to let my host and partner get into what he's upset about this week.
I'm upset because, I'm upset over a couple things, but I'm going to try to keep it tech related. I'm upset because we don't know which way Xbox is going yet. And I'm a gamer. That's what I do for fun. You know, I enjoy blowing off steam in front of a PC. I enjoy blowing off steam in front of an Xbox. And, you know, we're seeing all this shake up, and we're going to talk about it. I'm kind of leading into a story here, I guess. You know, we've got the layoffs at Battlefield. We've had all the layoffs in the gaming industry over the last year or so. We've had Sarah Bond. We've had Phil Spencer. You know, they're no longer a part of Xbox. We've got Asha. I cannot pronounce Asha's last name, so I'm going to stick with her first name. You know, she's in charge of Xbox. Well, what's she going to do? You know, we've got news of a new console coming. We've got news of a new platform. We've got news of what it's going to be. You know, well, are you going to increase my gaming subscription price? Are you going to increase my Game Pass? Are we going up to $40 a month? We're at $30. You know, so, and without going too deep, you know, there's a lot of things going on in the world right now. I'm concerned about where my money is going and how expensive things are getting and how that's going to impact our ability to, okay, let's give Microsoft that $30 a month. Let's give, you know, Steam $60 this month and go buy ourselves a game. You know, when you are in tough economic times, the first thing you usually cut is the discretionary spending, the play money. And I feel like, you know, our play money is getting, or at least mine is, our play money is getting less. And we've got to start thinking about where does that play money go? And Microsoft hasn't told us, hey, we recognize that we've gone up in price on everything over the last year. We haven't told you we're going to stop. Haven't told you we're not either. So, Microsoft, what are you doing with Xbox over there? Remember, gaming for most people is discretionary income. You go too high, you lose out. I'd like to know what's going on over there. I'd like to know what PlayStation's going to do. Things are expensive, and I think people are starting to catch up to that idea.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more. It's frustrating, but we're going to talk about it today. So maybe we're on the precipice of figuring it out. And you and I obviously had some thoughts as we talked off mic about maybe the fundamental understanding of gaming was a little askew, the same way that it was during the Xbox One situation. Maybe they're going to enter their Xbox Series phase of recalibrating, making things better for the gaming constituency. The thing I'm upset about are hard drives, external hard drives, and SSDs using the proprietary cable, that weird flat. I don't know. You guys have all. I'm hoping the audience can go with me on this experience. When you buy an SSD or external hard drive, you have the proprietary cable that isn't a USB-C. It isn't a USB-A, but it is a whatever that weird flat version is, and it may link out to a USB-C. It may even link out to a USB-A. Most of the USB-As that they link out to. Why are we still doing that in 2026? Have we not, I guess, built the SSDs or the external hard drives, more of them, using the Thunderbolt 4 or 5 protocol, using the USB-C type in from the female and the male end? I am tired of having to go through, and when I'm searching for my hard drive, making sure that it has it connected, that proprietary end. And usually, because I'm lazy, maybe I'm just bad with tech, I make sure that it's connected, because I know that if it's not, I'll end up losing the cable, and I have a hard drive that I can't access, because most of the things I access throughout my day are USB-C. So I'll have maybe 1 to 2 USB-C cables that can transfer, that can be part of my headphones, can be connected to my docks, that can connect my computers, that can charge my headphones, that can charge my phone. These 1 or 2 cables that I carry in my bag they are the Swiss Army knife of utility. But when it comes to the hard drive, I need that special cable, and usually it's dangling off, which makes it dangerous in a backpack, because it can bend or break, and there you go. You've lost anywhere from 100 to 500 to a terabytes worth of storage, because you can't access your hard drive because I'm me and I leave it in there, or I lose the cable altogether. And again, in 2026, I get this in 2022 and earlier, but now that even the iPhone has switched to the USB-C, why are we still delivering I'm looking at you, Western Digital, hard drives, especially, the larger capacity ones, with this freaking proprietary thing. And again, maybe it's a technical thing. Maybe it's so that you can get the same, faster or better read and write speeds. But I figured, again, Thunderbolt 4, Thunderbolt 5, use the USB-C type protocol. Where are we at on this? That's my question. I don't know. Again, it could be very specific. Yeah.
I have lots, and I'm not picking on you here, buddy, I promise. I have lots of external hard drives, and they both have USB endings on them. So what brand and what type of hard drive are you using to have a proprietary
I'm saying, no. This, I will show you. This is a teachable moment for the audience. I just got this one. I'm sorry. Here we go. For those who are listening, you can see I'm using a 5 terabyte Western Digital hard drive, and it uses, again, it goes out to USB-A, which is fine. I can put an adapter on this end. It's the endpoint that uses this weird two-pronged. It's a two-pronged.
Is that a fairly new hard drive? I mean, and that's a little bit of a
I got this off of. I want to say I got this off of Amazon about 4 months ago.
Wow.
And I would love to have, and I bought I think it's a P&Y is what they are called. I got it out. I got one of those. It was a 1 terabyte one off of like Temu or something like that uses USB-C to USB-C. I'm just wondering why there aren't companies like Western Digital or Toshiba or the other ones that have the larger capacities using the USB-C as well. Why are they still shipping things with that? It's like shipping a hard drive with what was that? The 30 pin?
Yeah, the old 30 pin connector.
Yeah. So again, it's a very minute rant. If those of you who don't agree with it, I'll move on. But I feel like there are people. Again, this is being sold on Amazon as of 4 months ago, still getting these things and having to be like, oh, where's my proprietary cable to get to my access to all my information and data? So companies, Western Digital, get on USB-C to USB-C, please.
Well, I have learned something from your rant today, because I thought everybody had gone USB-C to USB-C, or at least USB-C to USB-A, or something, a one cable deal. I have not picked up a hard drive that's proprietary like that in a long time. So I have learned something from you today.
Maybe I'm getting old stock, who knows? But moving on, we'll get into actual news, because we were probably sitting there, maybe they're just like me, like, what is this idiot talking about? But what I do know is that we have our next topic is Google. They are reimagining their workspaces with new Gemini tools. And this was announced, say, middle of this week. And those of you who might be scratching your head saying, hey, I've seen some of these things, they're just delivering more updates to it. And they're delivering upgrades to Docs, Sheets, Slides, and Drive. In Docs, Gemini can now draft documents from a simple description, pulling context from Drive, Gmail, and Chat. Again, this is part of the larger focus of connecting all of those things versus just putting them into individual apps themselves. Now they're able to kind of read all of these things for you, which is, I think, pretty good. That's where you get the most utility from this kind of stuff. We're also going to get, trying to blow this up so that people who are watching can see some stuff, but there we go. We're also getting in Docs, in Sheets, natural language becomes the primary interface. Users can describe the structure or outcome the way they want. Gemini will build tables, categorize data, summarize lists, and even solve optimization problems, which I think is pretty cool. Slides, Gemini will now focus on narrative and structure rather than layout. I think that seems to be kind of what Copilot does, is more layout than structure. So we'll see how those two compare. It'll also convert sketches or tables into editable diagrams, and eventually support full presentation generation from described storylines. Copilot tries to do a little bit of that, just try to create the entire deck from a description prompt. It needs a lot of massaging work if you do it that way, for those who've used it. Drive evolves into a knowledge engine. AI overviews surface relevant files or generate direct answers with citations, while Gemini can query across Drive, Gmail, Calendar, and Chat. Users can filter by folder, build research sets, and share without changing permissions. Google's approach is a little different than, like I said, Copilot, because Copilot behaves like a task-specific assistant. And again, if you want to limit the amount of interactions you have with an AI, Copilot may be better for you. If you want to just, have an assistant that can kind of do everything, and if you trust it, Gemini might be the one that can do everything for you. Again, building complete docs from prompts is kind of, I think, the goal at the end of the day. Most of this is all speculative so far because this stuff is still rolling out. But if you guys follow up with this in our writing, maybe I can do an editorial and compare the two down the road once these are more fleshed out. What are your thoughts on Google's implementation of Gemini versus Microsoft's implementation of Copilot?
I'm glad you put this story on the docket, because in the past week, I've gotten the Copilot upgrade with the stuff that we've talked about, where you can actually connect your Google Drive, your Gmail to Copilot, and some of the lab stuff where you can have it do autonomous things for you. And I was working on some coding tasks this week, just personal projects, nothing for anybody, just filling around. And I was noticing, I tried the Google Gemini and I tried Copilot, and I was noticing how the responses were similar yet different. I enjoyed that Gemini was a little bit more in-depth and could handle, or seem to handle, multi-part questions a little bit better than what Copilot was. So then I got done with my project and I realized I needed to make notes of everything. It was nice to be able to go into the worksheets, go into the Google Docs, get my stuff in the docs, and still be able to, prompt Gemini over on the right, because it remembered what I was working on. And hey, can we update this document? Or hey, can you summarize this so it's a little cleaner, etc. I have enjoyed that integration this week, and I think that's just a part of where we've got to go to try to get people to buy into AI in general, because so far it's been click a button, chat with something, and then you process the response as needed, copy, paste, edit, whatever you need to do. But now if you're going to start putting it in tools directly where it's easily accessible, I think you're going to see a better adoption of AI in general, which is what the shareholders are hoping you
do. You're absolutely correct. I think these are the more practical applications of AI versus flying around your desktop and manipulating your computer, which is what I think Microsoft wants it to do, eventually get it to do. These would be the small things that people try and use more often. So I think I like the implementation. I like the way that they're going to do this. We'll see, who kind of wins out in the end when it comes to those two productivity suites. You know that everybody's kind of on Office right now, so it's a little easier for them to kind of get the leg up. But with that being said, we're going to move on to our next topic, which is your Sonos story. We're going to throw in some products.
Let's throw in some products here. Let me get this pulled up. Interesting story this week. Sonos has kind of been getting a bad rap in the speaker market here over the last few months, because I'm not a Sonos owner, because frankly, Sonos is a little bit out of my budget, but I know some folks that are and have been trashing the app for quite a while. So in order to get your eyes off the app, Sonos introduced a new speaker. New speaker brought back an old name, Sonos Play. Now, I had a Sonos Play back in the day. I bought one Sonos speaker several years ago just to see what it was like, and realized I couldn't afford the rest of them. So Sonos Play is back. It is a portable speaker that is IP67 rated. It is dust rated. It can go with you anywhere. It is Bluetooth. It can connect to multiple Bluetooth devices. If you pick the speaker up, take it outside away from your Wi-Fi, use it for Bluetooth, you can bring it back in, set it back down, and it will join your Wi-Fi network and recreate your speaker groups. Supposedly, it will do this automatically. The USB-C port on the back of the Sonos Play is rather interesting. It can reverse charge to charge your phone as well as charge the speaker. You're looking at 24 hours of battery life, so hopefully you're getting, your literal full day out of that. What does it retail for? Retails for $179, so not too bad over in the did I say that wrong? Oh, I was right. It retails for $279. I'm sorry, $279, not $179. So you got a $279 smart speaker here. I don't know. I feel like we're still too expensive for smart speakers, because I don't see, any integration to Gemini mentioned here. I don't see any integration to Apple mentioned. It was just like, here's a speaker. We've brought back Sonos Play. Look at what the USB-C port can do. It sounds well, it can fill a room. I get that. Most Sonos speakers do. It does support the True Play tuning for automatically tuning your environment. But my question is, $279, who's going to do that? Who's going to reach out and say, yeah, I want that portable speaker? Bose has got some pretty good offerings for less than $279 that are portable and are IP67 rated. So if you're in the Sonos ecosystem, this is probably for you. If you're not in the Sonos ecosystem, I'm guessing you're just going to look right over the top of this.
Yeah, I think Sonos is in a tough spot. They had a surge of buyers prior to the pandemic, probably during the pandemic when everyone was kind of customizing their houses. But I don't think this expands that audience. I don't think you get people who were Bose or JBL or Soundcore or any of the other brands that make speakers. I don't think they're going to explore this particular option. Again, if you're in the Sonos ecosystem, as you said, this may be a no-brainer. This may be like another speaker that you can, you have one in your bathroom, you have one in the kitchen, you got one in the living room. Now you need one for maybe the garage or one for your outdoor patio that you need to finish the system with. This might be a great addition for that. But I don't see them moving beyond people who are just now maybe perhaps jumping into it. Because again, Sonos works great when you have multiple speakers. And at $279 to $299, I don't know if people are going to be paying upwards of $500 or I guess $600 to $1,200 in order to get it to see the multiple benefits of that. Sonos by itself, I don't even know if it's a well-named brand. Be like, hey, you have one Sonos speaker, and it sounds amazing, and that's all you need, and you carry this portable one with you. I think, like I said, it's more of like, hey, you own a house, you own a small townhome, you have multiple speakers, and it just integrates really well with that. But if you're just like, hey, I just need something to take to the pool, on a bike ride, whatever, you may still be getting a JBL for cheaper. You may be getting a small SoundLink from Bose, which you can strap onto a backpack or something like that. So it's a weird market. I wish them the best of luck with this. I think Sonos is kind of, I wouldn't say flailing, but kind of treading water currently, trying to figure out their next big product.
Well,
I think they tried to do TVs a little bit ago, and that didn't work out. So
I think they're trying to compete with Bose. That's the problem. I think that's an ultimate issue there, because when I was looking at a home theater system back over the holidays and I was comparing it to Sonos, and not to belabor this any further, but it felt like to me that Sonos and Bose were competing, and Sonos just doesn't use the marketing power or have the marketing power of Bose. You see Bose in your cars. They've got the one set of headphones. Sonos has that one set of headphones that they never really marketed all that well that I saw. Whereas Bose has got several sets of headphones. They've got earbuds. They've got portable speakers. And I feel like it's a niche. It's a niche market. I get it. Maybe their books look better than they think, and the niche market is doing them well. I hope so. Obviously they had the money to R&D this product and produce it. So, maybe they're doing better than we realize. But I worry about the Sonos brand sometimes, because there's all these folks out there, that have invested this money.
Well, like I said, I always attribute Sonos to housing dwellings. Like, again, if you're in an apartment, townhome, house, I see Sonos's in there. I don't see them for portability, which I think this thing is targeting. Again, when I go to a party, go out for a bike ride, go to the pool, go to a dance event, outdoor, go places, I don't see Sonos out and about. They're usually like, I go to a friend's house and I see, they have a couple Sonos. So to your point, maybe they're like Apple. Maybe we've cornered the housing market and that's where they live, and then Bose and everybody else can fight for scraps elsewhere. So who knows? If you guys do know, if you're listening to us and you have a better insight on that, please let us know. Then we'll revise our statements. Moving on, what I do know is that the Surface RT should still be a thing. And Former Windows chief, Windows 8 in particular, Steven Sinofsky, he was also kind of the head of Office for a while, has the same sentiment. In a story, I believe, that was originally, I think, written up by some of our friends over at Windows Central. We have Steven Sinofsky basically saying, and I think these are, is a quote, the MacBook Neo is a paradigm-shifting computer. And he says that off the back of what he believes should have been what Surface RT was meant to do. For those of you who, again, may be living under a rock or have a very, normal YouTube algorithm, you may have missed the information, all the news coming out about the MacBook Neo. But what it is a low-cost, anywhere between $499 and $599 MacBook that runs on a A19 processing chip, which is the one that they used in iPhones. And it is made of aluminum. It's a smaller MacBook, 13-inch, I believe. And for those of you who may have forgotten about the Surface RT, it was the same sort of idea. The Surface RT was the original. It came tagged along with the Surface Pro. And these were the original versions. These were the 10-inch, I think 10-inch screen ones, I believe. And the Surface Pro the original one was a very bulky, unwieldy device because it had to run full Windows. But the Surface RT was the much thinner, lighter version that ran on a mobile chip. At the time, it ran on ARM, and it was the mostly ARM-based applications. It ran an ARM-based version of Office and didn't have access to all of the stuff that Windows did. It had a much thinner keyboard as well, but it was the idea. We could put Windows on a mobile PC chip, and you'll get all of the same sort of benefits. That's kind of what Sinofsky was saying. More of the story is basically that he's calling it a paradigm shift because, again, it's the idea of putting a full desktop on a mobile chip. We've seen that kind of happen or come to more fruition with the Snapdragon chip, but it's also a specialized chip. They're doing more computing processing on this chip than they would with maybe their I guess they're relatively equal to what's in a Samsung phone or a Motorola or something like that. But we're seeing Microsoft run Windows on these mobile chips, and it's doing pretty well. But the Surface RT came out, oh God, when was that?
17, 18. Well, I tell you what, let's do something. Let's do something live on air. Let's click on the old Copilot here, and let's see, when was the Surface RT?
I want to say 2013, maybe 2012.
All right, this is live and ready to go here. We're waiting on our response.
Am I smarter than Copilot?
Ooh, we're both wrong. Way wrong. Released October 26, 2012.
I was pretty close. Take that, AI. So yeah, I mean, this is for all of the praise that the MacBook Neo is getting. Again, the original Surface RT ran on a NVIDIA Tegra chip. It had 2 gigabytes of RAM with 64 gigabytes of storage. And it was lambasted, but that was the idea, the premise of running Windows on low cost, or I guess lower end specs. And it did it okay. People were just upset because, again, you have it from full Windows 7 with access to a million apps in the library, to now being forced to run Windows on 2 gigabytes of RAM and 64 gigabytes of storage on a mobile chip. Apple's doing it with 8 gigabytes of RAM. I forget what the storage is, like 5 something or whatever.
256 and 512.
There you go. And but granted, they are running macOS, which is a little easier to do than Windows. But that was the premise. What are your thoughts on Sinofsky and where he was at in his vision of this?
I think he might be right. It kind of goes back to something I mentioned earlier. There's what people need versus what marketing says you need. Marketing will always tell you need the M5, you need the Intel Core, whatever, with 32 cores, the Intel, the AMD Core, whatever, with 32 cores, maximum RAM. The flashy marketing will tell you that. But I think as our economy continues to change and things are becoming more expensive, as I mentioned in my rant, some of the discretionary spending gets cut, and you start looking at those features going, do I need that Pantone accurate screen? Do I need that 64 gigs of RAM? It'd be nice to have in case, and this is where it gets sideways for people, in case I need to do something, this would be nice to have. So what do? We end up buying more. That's what gets you in the Best Buy or on the Apple website or Lenovo website. That's where you go from the 16 gig to the 32 gig to the 64 gigs of RAM. And I bring that up due to the cost of RAM. So I think we're going to get back to what we need versus what we want or what marketing says we need. And based on what I have seen, I thought about buying one. I don't have one in my possession, but based on the reviews I've seen, the old MacBook Neo is doing pretty good and will do pretty good for most everyday tasks that most people won't pull off that they're not doing on their phone. So something I mentioned off mic, this is the A18, correct? What stops Apple from doing an A19? An A20.
I think we're A19.
Yeah. Oh, okay. What stops them from doing an A20, an A21, an A22, and swooping up that Chromebook market, for the lower end PCs and kind of maybe putting up a good fight against the old Snapdragon chips, for some of those lower cost units. So is it a paradigm shifting computer? Possibly. I'm not going to say it's not. I can't. We're not an Apple-based website. We just cover, the big topics. I can't say that Apple hasn't done something here that a year from now, 2 years from now, 5 years from now, we don't look back and say, wow, look what they did. And look what they forced us to do.
I don't think it's a paradigm shift. I think people will always, to your point, buy what they need versus what they want, especially as money becomes tighter globally. I think we're going to have a global recession awakening. I think what it does is a paradigm shift for the way that Apple sells the MacBook Air and the iPad.
I'll agree with that.
What Apple's always done. Apple's always been the first to cannibalize its own product line, which is smart. Everybody else waits for Apple to cannibalize their own stuff because they love the gravy train and keep it going. And they're incentivized to do so because they have large market share. You don't disrupt that. Apple's always coming from behind, and they eat everybody else's lunch because they're nimble enough because their audience isn't big enough. Once they get big enough, they got to keep things steady. I think what's going to end up happening is there are going to be a lot of people that realize that they don't necessarily need a MacBook Air or a MacBook Pro. And they don't necessarily need an iPad either. This thing will suffice for both. Mm-hmm. And it'll start eating that market in addition to Chromebooks and some lower cost Windows stuff. We're going to get into why some Windows products might be on the chopping block in this next story, which is the IDC predicts there will be an 11.3% decline in PC sales this year, probably for a year after that. But experts, and again, these are the guys who track all of the shipment costs and PC sales for the quarter amongst OEMs or whatnot. They're saying that they expect PC shipments to fall 11% in 2026, a sharp downgrade from its earlier forecast of only 2.4%. So they've jumped. They've seen something in the market to say, okay, we expected 2.4. Whoa, we revised that to 11. And who knows, they might even revise it further to upwards of 20, maybe 25. The primary driver is the global RAM shortage, which continues to disrupt manufacturing and is now expected to affect supply chains well into 2027. IDC cites a growing list of geopolitical, economic, and industrial headwinds, calling the level of uncertainty a trillion-dollar question for tech decision makers. Tablet shipments are also projected to drop 7.6%. This, again, plays into MacBook Neo, showing that there's a downturn not limited just to PCs. Despite falling unit volumes, PC and tablet revenues will rise because manufacturers are raising prices to offset supply constraints. So, we're going to see some baseline RAM options go up, but so will the cost. IDC forecasts PC revenue growth of 1.6%, roughly 274 billion increase, and a tablet revenue growth of 3.9% to 66.8 billion in 2026. The trends mark the end of what they're calling the bargain price PC and tablet era, and pricing relief unlikely to happen before 2028 at the earliest, if they ever go down. We've realized as an economy, once prices go up, they tend to stay that way. Unfortunately, it's called inflation. So you and I were discussing off mic that Apple could benefit from gobbling up that market of people who don't necessarily need gigabytes of RAM or 32 gigabytes of RAM at $1,000 to $1,200, which is, again, shifting that window for the PC makers. For those who do buy it, it's great. They're going to have more of those people than they are of the lower cost. But for anybody who's constrained by their budget, they're going to perhaps look at that $500, $600 MacBook and say, hey, this is all I need. And again, PC makers are still making those devices out. They're still making, and they'll come out with prices, but most of the time they come out with sales almost immediately after. I believe the Dell XPS came out at a price tag, and it's only a week, two weeks out from being sold. And I'm sure they're going to have, doorbuster sales or whatever. And, they tend to lower those prices pretty quickly. So it isn't like the market's going away, but I do think the idea of $600 laptop that just does what it needs to do for the next few years, more extra bells and whistles, dedicated, NVIDIA graphics, or that additional stuff. If you're not a content creator, that's what people are going to settle for the next, 2 to 3 years.
Well, the other issue is, to your point, I think, that particular PC, the MacBook Neo, is going to, kind of put the iPad in its rightful place. And I think, it may put a few other things in its place too, because I think PC sales, sure, it's not a good economy. We know that inflation is high, but PC sales weren't great before we went to war, before we had all these tariffs going on, but before PC sales were trending downward then, because what's going on? Everything has an app. Where do you use that app? How do you access your bank statement the quickest way? Right here on this phone. You access things quicker because it's an app. You put your fingerprint on the phone, bam, you're in. You don't have to worry about any passwords, any 2FAs, anything like that. So, PC sales in general are not what they used to be. So, if people are going to buy it, it may have to be inexpensive.
Yeah. Moving on to our next topic, talking about tough times. We have EA set to lay off several positions.
Oh boy!
Battlefield Studios. This is the one you put on the docket, so I'll let you be the bearer.
You wrote it up, and when you wrote it up,
all of a sudden I wrote it up.
Well, you saw it before I did, and when you got it posted on our website, and I read that, and I actually had to give that a double take. Because I read that and I went, we're laying off one of the, Battlefield calls themselves the biggest shooter of 2025. They're having a free play. I saw last night they're having a free play next week where, you can play for the whole week. No charge, no nothing. But the bad news, even after solid sales, it shows that no game, no product is safe. The Battlefield team, for the most part, has been laid off, even though it's an unknown number at EA. The layoffs aren't tied to a poor launch. They're simply tied to money and people purchasing the game or not purchasing the game. And, staff were told the cuts were part of a broader realignment of the company. I get it. But this was a title that when it came out, it was competing. It was doing well. And it is still doing well. It was giving Call of Duty a run for its money. Now, EA does say that the game will continue on. We don't know how. We don't know who's doing what anymore, but the seasonal releases will continue. The game will continue to improve. But I guess this shows us one thing. No title, no release, no amount of money is immune to layoffs right now. If we think we need to adjust your team to better fit the goals of the company, even though you give us one of the best Battlefield releases we've had in the last 10 years, you're still laid off. So if I'm working at a company right now that produces games or produces anything, and we just had a great release of whatever product it is, I would still be worried. Because if I was on the Battlefield team, I would be going to work comfortably. Hey, we had a good launch. The game's doing well. The game's hanging in there with Call of Duty. Why am I getting laid off? This is the first time in the 2 years that we have talked about layoffs heavily that I have seen a product release do as well as Battlefield 6 has done. And then the next couple months later, it came out in November, end of October, 1st of November. We're now early March, mid-March. They gutted the team. Makes you think. It's sort of scary to think about, too.
It's definitely. It should be noted, though. Success in paper didn't translate to long-term stability. Post-launch updates were rocky, with fans criticizing everything from cosmetics to movement changes. Steam reviews slid, mostly positive to mixed. They moved from mostly positive to mixed. And concurrent player counts fell sharply from 747,000 roughly at the peak to tens of thousands only in follow. And the team even delayed season 2 to regroup and address community feedback. So, great launch, still a great game. It's interesting that something that costs multi-millions to produce and stuff like that goes off fairly well. To your point, still has these issues. It's cost savings. I think they're also going to try and optimize and streamline by using AI in part of its development. Get rid of some of those costly developers who were wanting unions and benefits and equal pay and all of the other whiny, mamby-pamby stuff that developers want as human beings. It's unfortunate. I joke because it's maddening. It sucks. I feel for everyone who is going to be on the chopping block for this. I really wish that it wasn't always about the line go up. Even in, stuff like in our gaming community. It's the unfortunate reality. We will see where these people land. Sometimes this fosters more indie groups, people who have the development ideas, maybe can find some capital and they come up with an even more casual game that people tend to love, that isn't just another rehash of Battlefield, another multi-governmental shoot 'em up or whatever. So I'm trying to hope for the best out of this entire crappy situation. I know there isn't much solace in that, but take it for what it is. We're going to move on to our next topic because that's bumming us out. We're talking about Project Helix, another story of yours, another game.
Yes, Project Helix is kind of interesting, but kind of makes me wonder to exactly what we've got going on. This week, Game Developers Conference, GDC, Xbox celebrated their 25th anniversary. And as part of that, we got a little more information about Project Helix. As we know, Project Helix is our next release in the Xbox console lineup. It will be powered by an AMD SoC as we expected. It is a specialized SoC done by Xbox and AMD for the Microsoft console. Now, what we learned, we're expecting more of a PC integration where you will actually be able to play PC games as well on your console. Now, we don't know yet how that will be done. If it will be done in a closed ecosystem way, which is what I'm expecting to keep the hardware requirements in line and keep performance tabs where Microsoft wants them to be. But we do get developer units, dev units. Those are supposed to come in 2027. So we're not going to get anything this year. We're probably going to get the ramp up to the dev units. Microsoft is still deciding the parts and pieces of Project Helix, what everything will be. But we were told at GDC that this is quote unquote deep in development, with the developer consoles coming early next year. So we don't have a release window yet. We know we got to get through those alphas and the betas and all that good stuff of the release window and get the bugs of the hardware worked out. So are we looking at a holiday 2027 release? I don't think so. I think we're looking early 2028, maybe the ending of 2028. I just don't see dev kits hitting the desk of, say, EA, for example, to develop the next Battlefield for the next console. I just don't see the dev kit hitting the desk at some point next year and the console still coming next year. So if I'm guessing 2028 will be when we actually see that on our shelves.
Oh yeah, definitely. This is still going to our topic about the MacBook Pro and declining PC sales. They have to ride out whatever happens when it comes to RAM.
Yeah.
Servers, energy. That's another big thing that isn't being talked about. We talk about tech, but it isn't in a bubble. We're, at war, the United States, and right now, energy is being threatened, and a lot of AI, a lot of data centers rely on this. We'll have to see how that affects development going forward, and how companies allocate resources to manage this. Because we're just in the early days of this. We don't know what the global effects will be. And again, we may not have studios in the US affected, but if they have studios around the world that they are also working with and they're affected, they're having issues managing power and energy, that will affect timelines for development, for manufacturing, for getting these dev kits out in mass. So we have to, we're gonna have to wait a while. And this isn't just Microsoft. I believe this will happen for Sony. This may have some effects for, Nintendo was smart enough to get their console out early, but you may start seeing, monthly shipments of your targets getting consoles going from hundreds of thousands to just thousands, maybe even hundreds per month. And, we'll start to have backups where you have to wait a while in order to get the next Switch 2 shipment to come in. And maybe they only come in with a handful of them because, again, we don't know what this war and how it's going to affect the global market. So to your point, I think 2028 is optimistic. I think, fall 2028 is the earliest I think we'll, perhaps see anything about it. 2027 is definitely off the table. I think that's just where they're going to get out the dev kits to a handful of studios and developers to get working on this before they can say, all right, we have enough chips, we have enough hardware, we have enough, SoCs, we have enough of the components to then ship out millions of these things at launch. And that won't happen until, again, like 2028 at the earliest. So,
and I think they realize, to your point with the RAM, look at the backlash when they up the price on the current Series X to $599 and $799. I don't think they want to have to put out $1,000 console.
They've already seeded the ground saying that it's going to be expensive. That is what they've been saying for the past 6 months that the next version of the Xbox is going to be more expensive. The next version of the PlayStation will be more expensive. I do believe that the Xbox will be more expensive than the PlayStation because it's trying to do more. And this is what happened to the Xbox One. We're going to have to see how they navigate that, how they massage the conversation. Because to say, hey, our console is more expensive than the one that has all the games and all your friends, you're going to really need to tap dance and figure out how to sell. Why would I spend more for something that objectively or functionally speaking does less as far as pure gaming is concerned, not all of the accessories and software and services. So that'll be interesting. We had our next topic, which is this was an Xbox is no longer a thing for Microsoft. It's a topic I put on the docket because it was noticed that Microsoft has fully removed all traces of this is an Xbox market campaign from its websites, including the original announcement post, which now returns a page not found. It has an error that says it. The campaign was widely mocked for diluting the Xbox brand since it implied that non-console devices, things like smart fridges, Meta Quest headset, and smartphones were equally quote-unquote Xbox, undermining the value of the actual Xbox hardware. Critics argued the messaging arrived at the responsible time as the Xbox brand perception had weakened due to studio closures, shifting strategies, informally exclusive gaming, launching on competing platforms. With the brand under pressure, many felt Xbox needed to reassert the console as a flagship product, not to blur the definition of what an Xbox means. New Xbox CEO Asha, I'm going to say her name is Shamara, and Microsoft CEO Satya Nadella have both publicly reaffirmed a long-term commitment to Xbox hardware, signaling a strategic course correction. I believe Satya Nadella was giving a talk internally to the folks over at Microsoft saying, hey, I understand that we need to do more for committing to Xbox. He did use the term AI though, so who knows what that means. That's Microsoft's big thing, but maybe he'll be gentle with applying that everywhere across the Xbox brand. Sharma's reveal of the next Xbox console, Project Helix, and the rebranding of the full-screen Xbox interface as Xbox Mode reinforced that hardware remains central to the platform's future. At GDC, Microsoft avoided all of the "this is an Xbox" phrasing, instead using forward-looking slogans like "build for what's next" and "the future of Xbox starts now." The complete removal of campaign from the official channel suggests a deliberate reset of Xbox brand identity, distancing the platform from messaging that confuses fans and weakens the hardware narrative. The shift raises the questions of whether abandoning the campaign can help restore trust among players who want Xbox to stand strong or distinctive hardware and not just an app ecosystem. You and I talked off mic about this. I think I've said enough right there. What are your thoughts on pivoting from everything could be an Xbox play anywhere strategy? Again, that was kind of linked to Phil Spencer and Sarah Bond to, hey, here's some Xbox focused news.
I think it's a good thing because if you're going to sell consoles, you kind of got to get off of that. Because people are going to say, well, I've got my Fire Stick, I've got my PC, I've got my handheld, I've got my iPad, I've got my Google tablet. All these things that you said are an Xbox for the last couple of years. I've got it. I have access. I don't need your console. I don't want to give you that money. So, we're talking about the new console. So we've got to get off other ways people can play and get you focused back to that console, to getting in front of your TV screen because they want to develop it, they want to sell it. That doesn't mean play anywhere is going anywhere. It'll just be one of those things like it's expected when the next Call of Duty comes out or the next Battlefield comes out or the next Madden, because Madden will be the next big release in a couple months. It's expected that if you buy the game, you can play it on your PC. It's expected that if you buy it, you can play it on your handheld. And it will become an expectation and less of a talk of a feature. And we're going to talk about here over the next year or so how playing on the console is what's best for you, how it's 4K, how it's 5.1, how it's 7.1, how it's immersive. You're going to start hearing those terms because they want to get you ready for that money for Project Helix whenever it does hit store shelves. So I think this has got to go away or disappear.
I agree with you. And my question is it too late for Microsoft to focus on the console when it lost this generation so badly? And then two, what Microsoft has failed to do in 3 generations is get games, and I mean back to back. And I'm not saying they need to have 15. I think they need to have at least 4 console must-haves, exclusives. I know, Microsoft like to chide against that, and I know they're a publisher for everybody, and I get that. You have a whole library now under your belt that you can, distribute across all of the platforms and make tons of money. But I think in order for people to buy your new, more expensive console, which again, I'm predicting to be more expensive than PlayStation, in order to lure people who have been on PSN, but all their friends now for the last 2 generations who have invested in PlayStation, where PlayStation becomes the Kleenex of gaming. When Xbox used to be, people, parents would say, "Hey, get off the Xbox," even though you're playing, the Wii or something else. It was just a nomenclature for gaming. Microsoft has lost that. PlayStation has now replaced that. In order to get people to move from that, it's got to be the game. At the end of the day, it's the games. It's the gaming experience. And if it has to be, it has to be a game like Spider-Man, or a game like maybe perhaps Wolverine's coming up, or a couple of other at the sacrifice of Street Fighter brand, it became only PlayStation for a while. These are things that you need to have on your console in order to say, hey, here's our $1,000, $1,100 console that doesn't have all your friends on it. You've all been playing PlayStation, but you don't care about your friends because this game is so amazing. You're going to play this game, and then you're going to tell your friends, hey, you should come over here and play with me over here because this game is so awesome. I need you. And that's how you start to pull the Overton window back on your side. So
the day,
I'm glad. Go ahead.
The days of Halo need to return. As far as, the days of Halo, the days of Gears of War. I'm 47. I'm 47 years old. I got the original Xbox. I was a reviewer of the original Xbox. In that box was Halo, and there was a basketball game, and I don't even remember what the others were. That's the point. That's the point. I don't remember. I played Halo. I told everybody about Halo. My brother goes by, and we bought a second Xbox. My family members were buying Xboxes. I get it. To your point, Microsoft is a software publisher for gaming now. They make games for everybody. But I think we're going to have to play that ladder just a little bit. You're going to have to step on that rung and say, this is the Xbox exclusive that everybody's going to want to play. And then you go buy that console. That's the same way Sony does it.
Yeah, and I mean, to that point, remember, we wrote a story last week about how Sony is pulling back on the idea of putting everything on PC to make it, more accessible. They're saying, hey, we're going to still dabble in it, even though we can make $2 billion from old IP by doing it. We can just make, lots of pocket change by doing this. But we know that if we start to do that more often, it dilutes the brand. So we're not going to put everything out there. Microsoft needs to, have that sort of same mentality. That being said, let's get into our last story, because until they start doing that, what can people start playing on free play days?
Well, we got some pretty good stuff here on free play days. Let me get this pulled up here. We got a fresh wave this weekend, March 12th through the 15th. We've got some pretty good stuff. We've got Killing Floor 3. We've got Bassmaster Fishing. We've got Worms WMD and Tropico 6. Pretty good titles this week. You can also grab a preview of Diablo 5, the single player and multiplayer, through March the 11th. Let's see. Nope, I wrote that wrong. Through March what is next Monday? 21st. I need to go back and correct that. I wrote that incorrectly. So that goes through March 21st. You can get started. Very simple, as I like to say, by going to xbox.com. You can also slide over to your membership, free play days, slide down through the membership, Game Pass, free play days. See, I can't even get it out right, so maybe Microsoft does need to move that. I heard somebody say they had moved free play days on the dashboard. I checked this morning before the pod. For me, free play days is still in that weird space under your membership. As I like to remind you, make sure you get in on some of these deals for buying the game. For example, Killing Floor 3, 40% off. Bassmaster Fishing, 80% off. And Tropico 6 is also 80% off. When you buy these games, if you buy them after free play days, your progress, your gamer score, everything goes with you. So you don't have to worry about losing your stuff. If you're enjoying the title, like Tropico 6 here we've got on the screen for those that can view our podcast, that's going to be the one that I tried this weekend. I tried Bassmaster the last time it was around, so I think this time it's going to be Tropico for me, and I'm not a very big Diablo player, so Diablo is not necessarily my thing. But as always, this is pretty cool that Microsoft does this every week. They put out some free titles, and those are discounted. Make sure you pick them up. Make sure you try them out. And to my esteemed co-host, are you trying any of these this weekend?
Yeah, I'm going to do Tropico 6 because I like a sim. And this seems like I think PC Gamer said it's a Banana Republic type sim. It's the city management thing. So anybody who want to, become their own despot or dictator, you can try it on Tropico 6 apparently. I know there's Tropico 7 out. It came out about 6 months ago. But 7 looks like it's just as good. So again, if you wanted to do something a little less intensive as not SimCity, but what's the other one? What is the big sim one that's on Xbox? Anyway, the other big Sim City one, I would try this. So I'm gonna give it a shot, especially if you want to build around more islands. I know sometimes they don't give you islands in some of these ones, at least not as lavish as this game. So that'll be that. I'll be doing it in conjunction with, again, still playing Hades. So, but this looks like fun. So with that being said, where can people find you if they want to hang out with you this weekend?
Well, I'm going to try to get in some gaming this weekend. We've got the conference tournaments in college basketball this weekend, and I kind of pay attention to those, but I'm going to be doing some gaming under David PAJ1978. That is Blue Sky as well as Twitch. If you want to hang out with me over there, I'm usually Call of Duty. I will probably do some Tropico this weekend, may get in some streaming tonight, tomorrow night. Sunday nights, I usually try to chill out a little bit and kind of get ready for the week. But that's where you'll find me, David PAJ1978, Blue Sky, and Twitch. What about you, my friend? Big party this weekend? Big Disney trip? What are you doing?
Not too much. My in-laws are in town, so I'll be hosting my in-laws and maybe doing a couple of some yard. Fixing water valves, around my sinky toilet in one of the bathrooms. So that's during the day, and then again, once everybody goes to bed, I'm playing some video games for a few hours. I'm also watching a show. Shows for those of you who have a Netflix subscription, you're not like David and chucked it in the trash yet. If you still haven't, I recommend watching Orphan Black. That show, it is a sci-fi. It is a crazy sci-fi mystery action show, sort of, with Tatiana Maslany. If you watch She-Hulk, she was the main actress for that. She plays 9 different clones. It is fun. It is a romp. It is a ride. It's been hard to find now that it's been off of, I think it was Sci-Fi, if I'm not mistaken. So, okay, Netflix. It's on Netflix. Check it out. You can also find me at Happy Hulk, Blue Sky, or Kareem Anderson on Threads, where I'll be talking about that, or maybe some comics. The comic I'm reading, also, by the way, it isn't one of the major ones. I do read major ones, but Undiscovered Country. It is a very interesting comic.
I've not heard of that one.
The premise is that the United States went off the grid 30 years ago, or for 30 years. It just went black. It moved away from the rest of the world, shut off its borders, and nobody in the outside world knows what's going on in the inside interior of the United States until they get a message, because the outside world is suffering from some kind of pandemic. And the U.S. sends a message out saying, hey, we have the cure. We just need someone to come in and get it. And this team goes in to get the cure, but they find out that the United States is this whole different world. It's got different factions and areas, and they have to travel across the United States in order to get this mission because they got shot down. It is a cool reimagining of what the United States would be like if it just closed off its borders. So I would suggest doing that if you want to just get away from the normal Captain America, Batman and Superman kind of type of comics, and just want a graphic novel of something to open up the mind a little bit. Check that one out. Undiscovered Country. Came out in 2019.
I have to check that out.
With that being said, you guys go ahead and enjoy your weekends. Like we said, do whatever it is you're going to be doing. If you're going to be cutting grass like me, enjoy. Put some headphones on, listen to a podcast. That's what I tend to do. If you're cooking for your family, which I will also be doing, make sure you take time to put some music on, or light a candle, or get into your zone, whatever it is that helps you cook better. Do that. If you're taking a nap, get the comfiest blanket. If it's weighted, get that as well. If you are have some free time, take a bath. I haven't taken a bath in a long time. Just sit in the tub for a little bit, read a book, listen to some music, maybe play around on your phone, whatever it is you do. Just enjoy it to the fullest. We will see you guys again next week. Thank you for hanging out with us and spending a little bit of time.
Yes, thank you very much. Have a good weekend, everybody.